Do it to it, man.
Ooh, what's up, RPG fans? Welcome to episode 29 of the Switch RPG podcast.
Where's the enthusiasm?
I'm one of your hosts, Philip, and I'm joined as always by my partner in crime, Geo.
The PIC, as some people say. I don't know.
The voice of the people, other people say.
Yeah, all the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time listening, this is the show from SwitchRPG.com that brings you all the exciting news, upcoming game releases, and the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch platform. This week, we've got a bunch of news for you.
Yep.
We've got a nice question from Paul Nichols that we're going to answer.
Yes.
And then, as always, we're going to set up on a side quest. But for now, let's head into some housekeeping. We've got some cool stuff here. Ladies and gentlemen, got a little bit of a format change for you for the show. Something that Gio and I both love is evolving and figuring out new ways to bring the show to you. And one of those is when it comes to news. Don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes in the Switch RPG land, it's a little barren sometimes. It's
a little bit, yeah.
Between big releases on the Switch, there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So to alleviate that during those down times, if you will, what we're going to do is we're going to start incorporating. We're still going to focus on Switch stuff, but we are going to start incorporating some news from other consoles.
Because we play games from other consoles. I mean, obviously Switch games will take priority and precedence over other consoles, but I mean, we're not snobs here. We play other games.
Well, that, and I mean, if you've been listening for a while, you'll know that we've been sprinkling in games from other consoles when we feel like it really might affect the Switch. So we both think that, number one, it will give us some more things to talk about, but then number two, it will give us sort of this broader vision of the RPG landscape as a whole, and that really does inform how things might work on the Switch moving forward. You know, if you got a big release on another console, how does that affect the Switch? Will it come to the Switch later on? In a year? Probably yes. Anyway, so that is
Right.
something that you're going to start seeing a little bit more, and we hope you love it.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, let's jump right into the news, shall we? And we shall. Yeah, we shall. We're actually going to start with a game that is an RPG. It is an RPG. Even though some on this podcast might disagree. That is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was under the impression we were doing something else first, but now I know where you're going at, and I don't agree. But as you were,
Breath of the Wild, the greatest RPG ever invented.
False.
It is an RPG.
No, it's not.
From ZeldaDungeon.net, we've got the possibility of future Zelda DLC. In a recent financial earnings report, we get a quote here, and like I said, this is from ZeldaDungeon.net, and just reading the quote, we need continuous growth. We must keep releasing new software that includes DLCs and other contents for big titles that are already out. So it's possible that we've got more DLC for Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I feel like that's a game that we kind of thought was done.
Yeah.
Just out of the sheer silence that we've had.
Right.
I guess it was about a year ago, because the Game Awards, and we'll talk about the Game Awards here in a bit, but the Game Awards was when we got, that last content drop, right?
Right.
So what do you think? Are you ready? Would you want to dive back into the wondrous RPG of Zelda Breath of the Wild?
Well, considering, all right, for the sake of this argument, I'll consider it an RPG. just for this argument. Okay. Man, I put so much time into that game. I don't know if I can go back into it, to be honest with you. And again, just for the like you said, the sheer silence that we've had. I mean, I haven't been playing it. I moved on, and I've completed all that I've need to complete. I really have no need to go back to it. It would have to be something really significant to bring people back. If it's not some sort of DLC like Torna is for Xenoblade Chronicles, that massive, I don't know that it's worth their time. And I don't know I don't know that that's what they're planning, to be honest with you. But who knows? I just think it has to be something really big.
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Mario might be, because I didn't play Mario, but I know that it didn't quite receive the same like level of DLC that Breath of the Wild did. Did Mario Odyssey actually get a paid like expansion DLC?
It didn't. It actually got free DLC. It's been getting it consistently for the past, I think it's been about a year now. So it's been getting free DLC consistently. Now the DLC is, it's been really nothing earth-shattering or game-changing. It's been, little sprinkles of things, like they added like Luigi's balloon chase. It's been small things. But it hasn't really been anything really massive or anything. But it's been free.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking maybe that would be one of their bigger games that they could go DLC with, since they haven't gone paid DLC or like an expansion type deal. Breath of the Wild, I'm kind of with you, and it feels really weird to say, because it was a game that quite literally took the world by storm. I mean,
yeah,
we're talking a year and a half ago. That's the game everyone's talking about,
right?
And I just don't know if at this point you put something out and everybody's going to be jumping back in droves. Yeah, I question the decision, if they're thinking about putting DLC back in on it. I question that, because I just don't know where else you could go with it. You already got sort of a lot of features in that last one, and unless it's an area, and even then, I don't know. It's like at that point, I'd just kind of be looking for a new game.
Right. At that point, right. I mean, if they're going to do something sizable, if it really was going to happen, what I'd like to see, okay, it would be something from a different perspective, not Link's perspective. I would actually like to see Zelda's perspective. Maybe as Zelda, as Sheik, as her. I think being in her perspective would change dynamics. It would change the game a little bit, and people may go for that. Or maybe they're just working on the next iteration, and I think having an actual playable Zelda character would be interesting.
Now, would you be thinking about Zelda during the time of Breath of the Wild?
I mean, there's she's been battling Ganon for quite a while, apparently, while Link's sleeping. So I mean, there's a lot of story that can be told in that time.
I'm just wondering if it's all confined within the castle, though, like just how much you could do. So I don't know, but I mean, look, it's a game, and we're talking about an expansion, so they could devise ways she could still be in the castle, but then also out of the castle too. So yeah, that would just be my biggest concern, would be like, are we devising an expansion just within these walls?
But yeah, that would definitely be tough, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'd be all for Zelda playable.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I would definitely make it the Legend of Zelda.
The Legend, yeah, actually play as Zelda for the first time.
Play as the Legend.
Right.
Speaking of a new Zelda, it looks like earth-shattering news here. They're working on a new 3D Zelda. This is coming from gearnuke.com, and that's that Nintendo has started working on a new 3D Legend of Zelda game is apparently recruiting for a level designer and a 3D CG designer. And then there's also asking for people to understand communication in Japanese for the development team. This really doesn't come as a surprise, right? We have a 3D Zelda that sort of was a game changer. It really was. So it's not surprising that we're already looking forward to the future. I feel like we probably are going to get some sort of 2.5D Zelda before 3D Zelda, so there's probably works on that as well. But
sure,
of course they are working on a 3D Zelda. And you know, as if we take Breath of the Wild as an example, I don't know if you can necessarily say this is the standard, but if you take that as an example, that thing was in the cooker for a long time.
Right.
And I know, you know, we had a console sort of start coming out probably
they definitely
in mid-cycle. So like I said,
right. So they held up a little bit, right?
But I mean, we've begun a new 3D Zelda that we could still be looking at a substantial amount of time down the road. But curious, what would you like to see from the new 3D Zelda?
If they're not going to use Zelda as DLC, make a Zelda game. You could make it almost Metal Gear-esque, have her sneaking around and use a totally different mechanic, and see if that would work. Because, you know, as Sheik, she was always kind of sneaking and sleeking around. I think, again, it would provide a totally different gameplay than what we're used to. So I don't know if people would accept that. I think I would accept it because I'm bringing it up.
Well, now if you kind of did that and you went sort of like a puzzle mechanic, could you sort of creatively bring in sort of that dungeon aspect that kind of, I know a lot of people were saddened that was a little bit lost in the shrines of Breath of the Wild. So yeah, Zelda, Geo could be bringing dungeons back to Zelda.
Thank you.
By using Zelda.
Right.
If they do it, you heard it here first.
That's right. They're probably not listening. They should be, but they're probably not.
Nintendo.
Because they like, yeah, you know why they're not listening? Because they're like, Zelda's not an RPG. Why would I listen to the SwitchRPG podcast?
Oh,
just there we go. There we go.
I would like to see the brand new 3D Zelda be just straight up RPG. Just like
I would accept it.
I mean, it's just undeniably RPG.
Right.
Just do it.
That would be perfect. I would love it.
You set your stats and everything. You got like an agility stat. You can make a tank link.
Perfect. Have a party. Would you accept that?
Would I accept a party? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I come from Dragon Age land. Of course I accept a party. Only in 4s. Party of 4.
That's it?
Party of 4, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, man. All right. That's enough Zelda talk since it's not really an RPG. So we're talking about games that are RPGs and we're talking about games that aren't on Switch. What is this? This is the SwitchRPG podcast you know and love. That's what it is. From NintendoLife.com, we've got a bit of a different stride here with a relaxing RPG adventure called, let me see if I can get this right, Alchemy Cutie. You heard that right, Geo. Alchemy Cutie. That is the newest release from Circle Entertainment. It is about, like I said, it's relaxing. It's sort of a relaxing game about jellies.
Jellies? Now, what do you mean? What does that mean, jellies?
It is all about going outside like the colorful Wimba Island and taming wild jellies. Along the way, you'll meet villagers, you'll enter jelly competitions, and uncover secrets of the island. I assume that means jellyfish. That's what I assume that means. In the trailer, you see an ocean, and like I said, it's an island. So I hope that that's jellyfish and not actual like cans of jelly.
Yeah, especially in the ocean, right? It kind of makes sense. Now, kind of an off-topic question here. What is your opinion of jellyfish? Do they bother you? Do you not mind them? Have you ever come into contact with a jellyfish?
I have never come in contact with a jellyfish.
Okay.
So I must go with that. I don't mind them. However, I have read enough horror stories and watched enough horror stories to know that those little suckers are awful.
Okay.
And if
Yes.
I like woke up one day and I was in the middle of the ocean, first of all, we'd have bigger problems. But second of all, if I'm surrounded by jellyfish, I would be freaking out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in the Northeast here, we do have jellyfish, and they do come in swarms sometimes, and they're not. I don't even know what kind of jellyfish are, what type they are, or whatever. But yeah, when I see them around me, I do run out like I don't know, like my hair is not my hair, but like I'm on fire. It's just because I don't have any hair. That's why I said that. Um, yeah. Anyways, they do freak me out. Beautiful to watch from a distance in a tank at the aquarium. Not so much when you're swimming with them. But anyways, back to the topic at hand.
A little bit of an update. While we were talking about jellyfish, I did confirm that it doesn't look like it is actually jellyfish. Looking at these screens in this trailer, it looks like it is like little balls of jelly that kind of hop around, almost like slimish from like a slime
dragon.
from Dragon Quest,
Okay.
almost. But you collect them, and they're your friends, and you can
Interesting.
raise them on farms. So it's not ocean bound. They're not locked to the ocean.
Right.
That's quite the twist there. It's a land jelly.
I'm not sure what to make.
I don't even know.
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. So anyway, Alchemic Cutie.
Beautiful.
Alchemic Cutie. Look for that. Look for that. It's coming out next year. Coming out next year.
And it'll be on sale soon.
Yeah. It'll be, the day it comes out, it'll be on sale. We've got more actual game announcements here. THQ Nordic. This comes from a tweet from Nintendo Life. THQ Nordic is putting 3 more games out for the Switch, all launching next year as well. We've got Sphinx, and my eyes aren't good enough to read that small subtitle there. And the Cursed Mummy, I think is what it says. And then we've got Unwritten Tales 2 and The Raven Remastered. Gio, have you played any of these games?
I have neither played them or heard of them.
Right.
To be honest
Yeah.
with
Same.
You. But THQ is another one of those companies that are totally on board with the Switch. So this is good to hear. And they have some good titles there too. So
reading through the comments on that tweet, a lot of people are highlighting Sphinx, calling it a hidden gem, a great game.
Okay.
It's been a long time, can't wait to play it again. So look out for Sphinx, guys.
Look out
For this Sphinx. All right, and then the last bit of Nintendo news comes from mynintendonews.com, and that is that the Nintendo America president, Reggie, our buddy,
our bud, and a friend in the business,
friend of the show, he needs to come on.
Oh yeah, of course.
He says that we've got, quote, surprises, brand new surprises for 2019. Gio, are we looking at a 2019 for the ages?
I think 2019 will be better than this year. And this year had some decent titles.
It was no 2017 though.
No, 2017 was really excellent, and like so far better than 20. We've only had a couple of years, right? So 2017 definitely on top. Then we got 2018, kind of a a little slow. Respectable. Okay, good word. Good word. Not a word I would use because I'm not a literary master like you are. But I think 2019 is gonna be a contender to knock down 2017. I think so.
Really?
Yes. Well, you got possibly Pokemon RPG that could obliterate everything. Depending on things. Okay, then you got Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
You're gonna have I don't consider Animal Crossing an RPG, but you're gonna have Animal Crossing.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think that you have to, in the conversation of 2017, 2018, 2019, you got to look beyond RPG, because really RPGs in 2017 we had Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That was about it, because we don't consider Breath of the Wild an RPG. But but yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is that we're getting all the games that we were kind of looking for this year, and we're finally going to get them. So yeah, I think Animal Crossing. I wanted to keep saying Village Town for some reason. Animal Crossing.
I mean, we could be getting Town from Game Freak as well. We don't know anything about it. Bayonetta, I believe, is coming 2019. Metroid, we still need a little more information. I would love for that to be 2019, but again, if you can imagine just those titles alone, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And a lot of big hitters there.
Now, is Yoshi? Is that coming in the winter this year?
It might be March.
March of next year. And
yeah. So I mean, for some reason, I don't think they. I feel like they don't care about the Yoshi game.
Right?
It's like it seems like to get abandoned for some reason. But I mean, I'll be getting it. It looks really cool. It looks really it's like good. It's got the diorama set up. But yeah, 2019 is going to be quite the contender for sure.
Yes, I mean, but I think Fire Emblem is the big one there to hit. That's going to be good. Good. All right, on to other things, not quite Switch related. Now we're getting into what Geo thought I was going to open with before I threw the break.
You fooled me.
All right, let's move on and talk about Blizzard for a second.
Just for a little bit.
Blizzard, well, I would say they made a rare miscalculation, maybe. I don't watch Blizzard the closest, but from the distance with which I watch them, it seems like they can do no harm. It seems like they hit home run after home run.
Right.
So they come out at BlizzCon this year and announce a Diablo mobile title. Did not go over well, as one might assume, except for Blizzard. And I am a little bit confused by this, because it was like they were caught off guard with the backlash. Maybe because there's been 25 years of them just doing really, really good stuff.
Right.
So what did you think about this whole announcement and backlash?
All right, so here's my thing, right? They obviously they charge people for this BlizzCon event. So they're actually paid attendees. Now, from what I understand, Blizzard did inform them there will be no Diablo 4 announcement here. But to come out with a Diablo mobile announcement and treat it as like this is one of the biggest things we have for this event, and that's really all it was. That was their biggest thing. That's all they had. I think it would have helped them had they maybe done what Bethesda did. And you know, you have your what is their Bethesda's mobile game?
Blades.
Okay, so have it, right? And then just let people know you're working on Starfield or your Diablo 4, and also don't forget we got Elder Scrolls 6, or we got I don't know what else Blizzard could have, but like let them know that you are working on this stuff and have something ready to show. I'm sure you could show something because it is known that they're working on Diablo 4, and I think they could have shown something, but just totally misread the room like that, it seems weird from a company like Blizzard to just totally misread everything.
Yeah, and one of the one of the quotes here, this is from a GameSpot article. One of the quotes here, it says, in a note to investors, research firm Cohen and Company said that Blizzard severely miscalculated how their fans would respond, which suggests they aren't in touch with their players and maybe they should be. That was a little bit surprising to me. Once again,
Right.
I'm not the closest to Blizzard. It's not necessarily like a Square Enix or, oh, we'll get there, but it's not really like a Square Enix or a Bethesda, right? But I do feel like for a while they've put out quality stuff, and so and not saying that this isn't quality, I'm not necessarily judging this before it comes out, but I am saying that it did seem odd that they were shocked that people would be against this idea of mobile,
right?
Because it seems like everybody's against mobile. I mean, if you're putting something on mobile now, you should expect some level of backlash until you can prove to players that it isn't like your normal, how we've come to expect mobile experiences.
And you got to remember that the Blizzard community is a mostly PC oriented company. So they're not even, I mean, there are games that come into consoles, but they're mostly PC. And to go right to something like a mobile, that's bringing something all like very new to this population.
That's a really good point, because if you take maybe a Nintendo fan who has been playing on DSs and 3DSs and mobile portable consoles before that. Now we've got the Switch portable. Playing, like, getting a Nintendo game like a Mario Run or something isn't as much of a stretch, right? Because we've been used to seeing Nintendo titles on smaller screens. So that's a great point, that we are talking about a mostly PC audience that are very comfortable and like their environment at the PC. And now you're putting things on the phone.
Yeah, it's a very different, it's a huge obstacle for them, that's for sure, and they're dealing with it.
Yeah. So we'll see how Blizzard handles that, and like what the game will actually be.
Right.
All right.
Actually, before you move on, we have a few comments here. Someone warped gamers wondering if we've heard of the Mario Kart coming to mobile phones. I have heard rumors about it. I haven't seen anything concrete about it, like screens or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, with what, like you had mentioned, we're used to holding Nintendo things in our hands, so it's really not much of a change, and you know, that's not really gonna bother me. It doesn't affect me. I could see how it would affect the Blizzard, the core Blizzard audience for sure, because like I said, they're mostly PC oriented, so it's a big change.
Yeah, and have we? I think we've both. It's just we've heard about the Mario Kart. There really hasn't, and I'm trying to remember what even the name of it was. I think it was
Mario Kart Tour, or
Grand Tour or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so we don't really know. We don't have any details what it would be. But I mean, I can speculate. It would have some sort of online component that's a part of the normal Mario Kart experience. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more news on that, because I'm a Mario Kart fanatic. So bring it on.
You're not as good as me, but yeah, okay.
Ooh, okay. Oh,
that's a challenge.
I'm seeing a video. Sure. All right. Here's a little bit of a follow up story, right? Guys, you remember back a few weeks ago whenever I shoehorned in the Waylanders RPG into
You
the
did.
show? I really did. I really did, only because it was inspired by Dragon Age Origin. At that time, a few weeks ago, the Kickstarter had not opened yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I can announce as of yesterday, as of Tuesday, no, I'm sorry, as of this morning, not only has the Kickstarter, opened, but it has reached its goal, and
Mm-hmm.
they've adjusted some stretch goals as well. So it is fully funded, and it's looking like maybe in a couple of years, how some of these Kickstarter games go, we might have this wonderful little RPG. It is going to be set in like an alternate universe of ours and like Celtic mythology. It's going to have companions, dialogue systems, friendship systems, romance options, party based RPG goodness. So get ready for that. I would say go take a look at the Kickstarter, but by the time you're listening to this on Friday, it will have already passed. So
Unless you're watching it live on YouTube.
unless you're watching it live on YouTube, you can go look at it.
Yes.
The Waylanders RPG.
Yeah, this is like right up your alley.
Sure. No, yeah. I mean, this is like, here's my alley, and they just set up shop right in there. I was like, come on in, guys, come on.
Group hug. Everybody.
We got Dragon Age posters everywhere. It's great. All right, so
we have another question.
Go.
Who's your dream character for Smash, or who would you like to see for Smash DLC?
Okay.
For me, I mean, they're doing it kind of Rex and Pyra. It just totally makes. Yes, I took it. It totally makes sense, right?
Yeah. No,
it does. Yeah. It totally makes sense.
Yeah. No, so. that was my answer. I could see also doing. Well, I was gonna say Final Fantasy 15, but let's go ahead and get into that. Yeah, no, but I could see like just that would be interesting. Yeah, I would like that. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about some Final Fantasy 15.
Do it.
For those who don't know, I think I accidentally closed this earlier. There we go. For those who don't know, this is coming from The Verge. Square Enix has canceled the Final Fantasy 15 episodes that were supposed to come out. They were supposed to roll out all through next year. The next year of releases for Final Fantasy 15 DLC, that has all been canceled. That was a total of four episodes. And to add insult to injury here, what's his first name? I was going in on it. I was going to be really bold. Hajime Tabata has left. Tabata. Yeah, Tabata has left the company. Tabata was the saving grace, if you will, of Final Fantasy 15. He was also the director on Final Fantasy Type 0, which was a PSP game for Japan and then was released as a remaster on PS4 here. And then was placed on the Final Fantasy 15 project when it was basically lost at sea, really. And he captained that ship, turned it around, and really sort of can be attributed to the success of that game, both critical and commercial, that it was. But now he is gone. So Geo, you bring up a great question here in the show notes. You ask, has our opinion changed of Square, or what do we think about Square moving forward? Do you have thoughts on the matter?
I do. Now, the question I have though is the DLC that was planned, was that prepaid DLC, or was it just kind of? Because what my concern is, whether it was prepaid or not, is they sold that to the fans that we're planning on all this stuff, and
I
now
don't think fans have paid for it. I don't think that they
okay,
paid for it right.
right, but they were still sold on their continuing support of Final Fantasy 15.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and now we're, well, I mean, they've canceled it, so I'm assuming they're not going to pick that up, or maybe there's a possibility for that. I'm not sure, but I mean, they're kind of they're hanging the fans out to dry here a little bit.
Well, and they're also kind of hanging themselves out to dry because they've already sunk a lot of money into it. And I had the number in front of me the other day. It was a lot of money that they've already invested in these things, and now they're just out that money.
Right.
And they're out Tabata, their director. And I think the biggest future thing here that does different is, at least to me, it was sort of assumed that he was maybe helming Final Fantasy 16. He kind of earned that title.
Sure.
And I was going to be very excited to see him with this unbridled vision and not coming in and cleaning up. I feel like he was really in cleanup. He was in Kurt Schilling closing duty. And so I just don't know now, where does that leave us? They had just created a studio, put him at the head of a studio, and now he's gone. It all seems very abrupt. His comment was that he has a game in mind that he wants to make. It's going to be his next quote unquote big challenge after 15. And in order to do that, he needs to create his own studio. So he's almost doing the Kojima route here, creating his own studio for this, big title that he's wanting to make.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can only hope that it'll be as good as Final Fantasy 15 was. I mean, I enjoyed Final Fantasy 15. I mean, it wasn't not my favorite, but it was enjoyable.
I really wonder if this is sort of a barometer of some things going on behind the scenes at Square. If you have someone who's that talented, because I really do believe that Tabata is quite talented. If you have someone that talented walking out to make his own game, I really wonder if that's because, number one, he's not satisfied with the state of Square Enix, with the state of Final Fantasy. And then number two, I wonder if he pitched this game to Square and they would not make it. Now, some sort of semi-exciting things, some wheels that starts turning is, there was a gentleman who pitched a Final Fantasy game that they did not accept. They went a different direction. He broke away, made his own company, and made this little gear called Xenogears. Because that was supposed to, he pitched that for Final Fantasy VII, and it was not accepted. So, I mean,
that turned out okay.
That turned out okay. Now, I guess, yeah. So I wonder what we're gonna get from Tabata. I'm excited to get a Tabata, maybe unhindered by Square Enix higher ups telling him what he can and cannot do. Sometimes ultimate freedom actually is a bad thing, but like I said, I think Tabata is really creative, and I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to do. And I'm really now wondering what Square is going to do, what Final Fantasy is going to do, because at least in my mind, he was sort of the face of Final Fantasy.
Right.
Now we still have that Final Fantasy VII remake going on.
Is he part of that at all?
No, that was really Nomura's thing. But Final Fantasy 15 was also Nomura's thing. And it had to be handed off and fixed by Tabata. So I am kind of now a little bit concerned about the state of Final Fantasy.
Well, yeah, just Final Fantasy in general. I mean, but that's Square overseeing everything, though. So I mean, maybe that they're not handling these guys that well. So I don't know. It's too bad.
All right, Geo, I have Waylanders in my alley, but I've got something for you. Let's talk about some Xbox real quick.
Sure.
It's been rumored for a while, I think the past month, that developer Obsidian could be joining the ranks of Xbox, and it was indeed at the XO18 event, whatever.
Yeah.
The Xbox event. It was confirmed that indeed Obsidian is now making games exclusively for Microsoft and Xbox. Big get, but they also announced that they are getting a game studio in Exile as well. So now we've got 2 tried and true RPG makers making games for Xbox. And if we've said anything on this podcast, it's that when it comes to RPGs, Xbox is kind of lacking a little bit, and so this is a good step. It's a good step. What do you think?
I think no, it's definitely a good step. I've been actually playing games by both of these companies.
Yeah.
I've been playing Hand of Fate by inXile, and I've been playing Wasteland 2 by Obsidian. So I've been playing 2 games by them on the Switch, and now that may be it, which is good because it's good for Xbox, because Xbox definitely needs their exclusives in general. Never mind exclusive RPGs, which they've been missing since the original, not the original, but since Xbox 360.
Sure.
With Blue Dragon, with Tales of Vesperia initially was Xbox exclusive, then jumped over to PlayStation, and then Lost Odyssey. I think Eternal Sonata was initially on Xbox, and then PlayStation got it. So I mean, they're missing a lot of that, and this is. This is going to be good for them. They're not too big. They're smaller studios. So yeah, I'm excited. I know that Obsidian has Wasteland 3 in the plan in their plans. So they're already kind of, maybe they're going with that. I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
That's inXile. inXile's Wasteland, right? Yeah, inXile's Wasteland.
Is it?
Yeah, inXile brought Wasteland 2 and is making Wasteland 3.
Okay.
Obsidian are the Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2.
Okay. So I had my game. I'm actually playing 2 games from inXile then, with Wasteland 2 and Hand of Fate. But Pillars of Eternity is for most people a game of the year contender. It's a great game. So.
And just to sort of round out, give you guys some if you're not sure really what Obsidian has done, some of the more recent things would be Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, South Park Stick of Truth, Tyranny, Pathfinder Adventures. They are the masterminds of Fallout New Vegas, Neverwinter Nights 2, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, and Exile brought Wasteland 2, Bard's Tale 4, Torment, Tides of Numenera, and now Wasteland 3 as well. So
yeah, that's why I got Obsidian crossed up with Wasteland, because they're very, very similar. They're post-apocalyptic, turn-based strategy type of game.
Most definitely. So I think this only spells good for Xbox. You pair that with, they got Ninja Theory, and that is 3 game developers making different stuff. I think that's big for Xbox, and RPGs, which I think are big for Xbox too.
For sure.
Okie dokie, let's round out our news segment here. It's a little bit lengthy, but we are making up for 2 weeks. It's good to see everybody back after 2 weeks. Let's round out our news segment with talk of Game of the Year. This is always not say Game of the Year. I meant to say the Game Awards. This is Game Awards 2018, which airs December 6th, so just in a few weeks. This is always a fun conversation for me. I love sort of award season. I don't know if that makes me a total nerd, but like I love awards. Okay. So we are going to talk Game of the Year, but we'll talk all the little nominations here and get both of our thoughts on the stuff. And if you're watching live, feel free to throw in your opinions as well on these nominations as we run down the list. Let's start off with we're not going to go through all of these, but let's start off with the big boy, the Game of the Year. We've got Assassin's Creed Odyssey by Ubisoft. We've got Celeste by Matt Makes Games. We've got God of War by Sony Santa Monica. We've got Marvel's Spider-Man by Insomniac. And we've got Monster Hunter World by Capcom, and Red Dead Redemption 2 by Rockstar. Yeah, Gio, what did you think about this list of nominees?
Unfortunately, I've been out of the loop with not out of the loop. I don't have a PlayStation, so I can't play God of War. I can't play Spider-Man. I'm glad. It makes me happy to see Celeste on there. Having kind of an indie type on there, it's awesome. Assassin's Creed. I am not an Assassin's Creed. It's got the Madden effect to me, where it's just become this annualized franchise, and I just can't go for it. Although this one it's praised highly. So, but on this list, I played Red Dead Redemption 2, and Red Dead Redemption 2 visually is stunning. It looks absolutely insane, absolutely beautiful. There are some issues with it, and I know a lot of people have it rated, around a 9, 8 or 9. So it's not the 10 I think that God of War got. Did God of War get a 10 for most outlets?
A lot of places.
Yeah, so it makes me feel like God of War might take this one away. So it's just, yeah.
What I think is interesting is we do have a little bit of variety. When I first read this, I was like, wow, that's a bunch of open world games, but it's really not. Assassin's Creed Odyssey would be considered open world. Red Dead Redemption 2 would be considered open world, and I guess Spider-Man somewhat is sort of open area, open concept. But God of War is not really open world. It was actually surprisingly on rails. You can go to various areas, but it's pretty rarely. And then you've got a platformer, and then you've got a Monster Hunter game that isn't technically open world. It has big zones, but it's not. And the thing about the game is just hunting monsters. We're not talking about a narrative at all. So
I think that one's the oddball of them all, to be honest with you. I'm surprised that one's really on the list.
You really have to. That's the thing. The thing that it's fighting is that it was so long ago. It doesn't even feel like this year, but I guess it was like January or February of this year. It was the talk of the town for a long time. It was so big. It seemed like everybody was playing Monster Hunter World. It truly did. It did something for that series that we've not seen before.
Right.
So I'm glad that it's up there, but I agree with you that it is sort of the different one because it's not. It has no narrative. The gameplay loop is simply go out, kill this monster, gather the stuff, go out and kill a bigger monster.
Right.
That says a lot for just how popular it was that it got on there. We've got best ongoing game. We've got Destiny 2 from Bungie. We've got Fortnite from Epic. We've got No Man's Sky from Hello Games. We've got Overwatch from Blizzard and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege by Ubisoft.
Now to see No Man's Sky,
I was like going to say that too.
The fall from grace that it had, and then the rise and fame it's now become. It's pretty surprising, to be honest with you, to see that there.
It's surprising and it's
that's good.
Yeah, no, it's kind of inspirational a little bit because they got kicked in the teeth hard.
Well, they did it to themselves.
I was about to say, but a lot of that was self-inflicted. But to get even though it's self-inflicted, to get kicked in the teeth that hard and not give up on that thing, because it would have been just really easy to be like, wow, we just really messed up,
right?
And we're just gonna move on. But not only, I mean, they moved on in a positive way, just kept putting out stuff for that game. So interesting to see that there. Rainbow Six Siege was another game that really kind of took over so many. I mean, it's one of the most streamable games, obviously with Fortnite as well, but Rainbow Six Siege just pretty incredible. I find it interesting that Fortnite is on here and Battlegrounds is not. I don't know how many people really remember that head-to-head right in the thick of things when it was going on. But Battlegrounds technically came out with this battle royale thing before Fortnite. Fortnite was like, well, let's capitalize on that, and then Fortnite blew up. So it's so interesting to see Fortnite as sort of the hailed as the epitome of battle royale when they kind of got in on it late and just kind of took the idea.
But they're on everything.
Yeah,
they're literally on every platform available. So I mean, that's why it's there over PUBG.
They're on every platform and they're optimized for those platforms. It may not play perfectly, but it plays pretty dang well on everything that it plays on. And that, yeah, you're right. You cannot say that about PUBG. It's on PC and it plays decently. It plays pretty good. But then it's on Xbox and it's not great.
It's tough.
It's not great.
It's rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. If it's not playable on the consoles it's meant for, it's just not a good situation. They don't deserve to be on there. But you're right. They were the first, but that doesn't mean anything.
Best game direction, we've got A Way Out by Hazelight Studios. If you remember last year's Game Awards, we had an interesting piece with A Way Out. Gotta go.
That guy was fun.
Gotta go look that up. We got Detroit Become Human, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So some double dippers here. Once again, console exclusive here. We've got God of War, Detroit, and Spider-Man. 3 out of the 5 are console exclusives. Right. That's interesting. I saw some conversation on Twitter about should console exclusives really kind of be in their own category, because it's weird for these things to be getting game of the year awards when there's a large portion of the of gaming like you who haven't had the chance to play them because they are exclusive.
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to that at all, or are you okay with seeing these?
No, I'm okay with seeing that. I mean, it's just, it stinks for the end user, for the person playing the games, that we can't play them. But I mean, if they deserve to be awarded something, then they deserve to be awarded something, regardless of what console they're on, in my opinion.
We've got Best Narrative. Once again, some repeats. We got Detroit Become Human, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2, and then we've got a new one, Life is Strange 2 Episode 1. Good to see that on there. A little bit smaller of a title, but Life is Strange is a title that a lot of people love. I mean, people who've played it just absolutely love it. So I'm glad to see that being nominated, and I would love for it to sneak out with Best Narrative out of that group.
Wow, yeah. I mean, essentially game direction and narrative are almost the same. It's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing narrative would just be straight up story, and like game direction would just be, I don't know, like how everything, all the mechanics and everything, you know, how everything kind of comes together.
No, what I meant was like they're almost
yeah, the same nominees. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's very strange. Yeah, the only difference would be substitute A Way Out for Life is Strange. Yeah.
Life is Strange. Yeah.
Best art direction. This is an interesting one because I have a clear cut winner here. We got Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Octopath Traveler, Red Dead Redemption 2, and then Return of Obra Dinn. And I've not heard of that at all. Actually.
I haven't either.
So, good to see Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
I think
visually
it might have been.
They're doing something.
Yeah.
They're doing something very different between them all. So,
I was going to be disappointed if we do the nominations without seeing Octopath Traveler. I think it obviously would have been a stretch for it to try to get Game of the Year. Because it's a console exclusive on a console that, while a lot of people have, it's just not as widespread as the PS4. That's the thing about the PS4. It doesn't matter if it's console exclusive because like it's got a player base of something that's not console exclusive.
Right, exactly.
So I'm glad to see Octopath Traveler there, but to me, God of War has best art direction, in my opinion, to make a game that doesn't have camera cuts.
Yeah.
That's bold. That's an art that is a style of art that we haven't seen in games, and I hope that it comes away with it, because it comes away with it.
Yeah, just that aspect alone. When I had heard that, and then I'd watched a lot of gameplay, just to see if I could, to see what it looked like, and it looks really cool. It looks really amazing.
Because so doing it is bold enough, but then doing it in a way that I when I was playing it, I didn't really notice it, and that's the big thing.
Yep.
Is you don't want your players to notice how the camera hasn't cut in a while. Just like in a good movie, it's just it is so sort of immersive that it's like, I'm 20 hours in. Oh wait, yeah, the camera hasn't ever cut. How it's really interesting.
Yeah, you want it to be just that smooth, right?
All right, we're gonna do a few more. We got best score and music. We've got Celeste, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Ni no Kuni 2, Octopath Traveler, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Couple of these are good to me. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, where's Xenoblade Chronicles 2? Now, was that a like?
Well, that was last year though. Oh, are you talking about Golden Country? Because I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles.
No, because it was
last year though.
Right, I understand that, but it didn't make the cut for the previous year because it was released after the Game Awards.
Yeah, so
like they totally got like hosed in all of this.
So is it from last Game Awards?
I don't know.
Including December? That's a great point. Are we including December? Because
I don't know.
Because if that's the reason that it didn't make the cut, that is a tragedy.
It really is.
That's a crime.
Because I think for music, it should be in there. I mean, not contender for Game of the Year with that grouping, but for music,
I agree.
It's up there with Octopath Traveler, in my opinion.
Now you got me mad. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Ni no Kuni 2 also had a strong soundtrack. I thought that was a good soundtrack. Octopath Traveler has a good soundtrack. I've got to say though, guys, God of War has a phenomenal soundtrack. It is one of those soundtracks that you can listen to without playing the game. It has that epic gravitas. Just if you want good like running music or something, God of War is that. It's like that old sort of Norse. It's great. It's great.
Running music. That's fun.
I will also plug Banner Saga 3 here. Banner Saga 3
they're in here.
Austin Wintry. But Austin Wintry deserves to be best score music. He deserves to be a nominee. He deserves to be a nominee.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I haven't played 3. But I mean 1 and 2 are really good too. Funny story about Ni no Kuni 2. I know it's not well received. I think it's more because Ni no Kuni 1 is just so good. I bought it. I don't have a PlayStation 4. I know I will eventually get a PlayStation 4, but it was on sale so cheap, and it was like the Premier Edition or something. I bought it for $15. I couldn't pass that up. And,
wow,
and I know it's something.
Price.
Yeah, and I know at some point I'll love that game. So I don't even have a PlayStation 4, and I bought the game. But yes, as you were.
Let's skip down to best indie game. We've got Celeste, Dead Cells, Into the Breach, Return of the Obra Dinn, and The Messenger.
I think Dead Cells may come out of that, mostly because of the publicity.
The publicity. Yeah. Man.
That they had with it.
I think Celeste is going to struggle with the same thing that Monster Hunter World did, and that was one of the first to come out. It seems so long ago that came out, but once again, it really was one that took gaming by storm. I would love to see it. I would love to see it rise to the occasion there with best indie game.
Yeah, no, if it doesn't win Game of the Year, it'll win independent game. It has to, right? It's almost It almost
It
makes
would be
sense.
sad if it lost both of them.
I know.
It's like it could be nominated for Game of the Year, but it can't even win
And
its own group.
yeah, no, I think it'll win that. I was only saying Dead Cells because of, again, what the publicity it had.
All right, well let's skip down to the one that matters. Best role-playing game. Now we've got some obvious choices here. We've got Dragon Quest XI, we've got Monster Hunter World, Ni no Kuni 2, Octopath Traveler, and Pillars of Eternity 2. Geo, where do you go here?
I really want to say Octopath Traveler just because it's the only Nintendo title on there, but I'm not a
we know at this point. We know at this point.
Yeah. I want to say it's going to be Dragon Quest XI. That's what I feel. I feel it in my bones. Pillars of Eternity is up there as well for me. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Dragon Quest XI.
I feel like you're right in that. I think that's what will come away with it. And I'm a little disappointed because I think it would be great for Octopath Traveler for it to be a console exclusive once again on a Nintendo platform. So it's not the most out there thing. It was something that we were excited about that was a lot more successful than we kind of even hoped or could imagine it could have been. Regardless of if you like it or not, it did a lot of interesting things, and that was like the royal you, right? Not just Geo, but regardless of your feelings, I feel like it did a lot of things really well. It was sort of Square returning to this classic Square that we loved. Now Tabata's not there, and we don't even know. The only thing we can grab onto is Octopath Traveler. This is all we have.
It's all we got.
It's all we've got. So I would love for it to come over with that. I think you're right though that Dragon Quest seems like the obvious choice, but just like with Celeste, Monster Hunter World nominated for Game of the Year. So even if it doesn't win Game of the Year, it's a strong contender for RPG of the Year.
Yeah, I guess.
It is an RPG though.
No, definitely yes.
Okay. I was like,
okay,
we can't have that debate, can we?
No, we're not having that debate. It is an RPG. It's just not my thing.
Right.
It's just not for me. I've never really. I mean, I've tried to play it. It's just I just can't do it. I mean, Monster Hunter World I feel is a very different thing than the other games are, but I don't know. I'm not sure, but your Banner Saga 3 is in best strategy game.
Yep. That's the last one I'm going to read out. Best strategy game, and it's Banner Saga 3. That's the only nominee. It just automatically comes away with a win. I'm kidding. None of the others matter. It's BattleTech, Frostpunk, Into the Breach, Valkyria Chronicles 4, and Banner Saga 3. Banner Saga 3. It's done.
Bingo.
Yeah, I announced it right here. Although I will say Valkyria Chronicles 4 seems like
it's really between those two, probably.
A lot of people liked Into the Breach, though. They really did.
Yeah.
But it's Banner Saga 3.
That's it. You heard it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was told you that was we're making up for last week. That was a great news segment. Yes. We're just ending the news segment. So strap in. Let's talk about what we've been playing this week. Geo, hit me with what you've been playing.
I've been playing an indie game, Diablo 3.
Oh yeah, the little baby game.
Baby game.
Is that the mobile? Small. Is that the mobile version?
The mobile? No, not the mobile version. So I've been doing Diablo 3. I've been playing a lot of that with some of the SwitchRPG folks. Also, I've been playing Transistor. The creators of Bastion. I've been doing. I actually just got Into the Breach. I'll be playing a little bit of that. I haven't started that quite yet. I bought Cosmic Star Heroine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so I think I'd like to try that one at some point. It's just there's just way too much right now. It feels like we went through a period where there was nothing, and now all of a sudden everything's just getting thrown at me. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of Diablo, clearing out rifts.
Speaking of, I could not have asked for a better. I could not have asked for a better segue. Speaking of clearing up rifts, I've also been clearing up rifts in what little time I've been able to put to gaming the past couple weeks. Been playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and for those who don't know, closing rifts in that game is sort of the gameplay loop. So that's what I've been doing, and I can officially announce that I have finished Dragon Age Inquisition for the very first time. And I can say, at this point, with Divinity, I love this game.
Yeah.
I don't just like it anymore. I've said, in fact, if you go back and listen to the first couple of episodes, I believe, when we kind of talked about Dragon Age Inquisition, I was down on it pretty significantly. And I had a lot of negatives to say, and I was like, I enjoyed it, but it just didn't give it. It got me this time. I love it. And for those who've listened to this show for a while, this might sound heretical, but I've been slowly making the case with myself that I now like it more than the greatest game of all time, Dragon Age Origins.
Whoa!
I've been making the case with myself and trying to be like, objectively, I might like it more.
I mean, that's like picking between two kids. You just
that was very difficult to admit.
I mean, I do have a favorite. Oh boy, no, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can like them both equally. You can love them both the same. They're both different in their own little ways. They are different. And you can like them both the same. But I mean, anyway, you could say Origins was your first. Yeah, that's all you can say.
So I was supposed to say Inquisition's my most recent. Like,
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah. So Dragon Age Inquisition, very good game. Would love to play the DLC someday. Just phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal. Much like with Square Enix, I'm concerned about the state of Dragon Age 4, but Dragon Age Inquisition, I can say that was a really, really good BioWare game. So,
yep. Well, yeah, BioWare's in trouble. So, who knows?
All my loves. I'm concerned about.
It's too bad. It's too bad.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I've also been playing Red Dead. Sorry.
Oh, you kind of teased that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Real quick, what's your general consensus of that? You said visual. When you had the chance to talk about it, you said visually it was stunning.
Because I do have some issues with it. There are problems with it, and I think when, say for example, you're looting. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but you're looting a chest of drawers or something like that. It goes through this entire animation of opening the drawers, and it just really slows things down. Or if you're looting something that you've just annihilated, or you're skinning an animal, it goes through this animation. And there's no quick way out of it, so so it really slows the gameplay down for me, anyways. Some people don't mind it. It just takes, I don't know, it just takes a lot of time between things. So you can't just quickly loot something and then move on your way. You can't do it.
That's one of those situations where realism, to me, negatively impacts gameplay. Because I'm all for realism. But at the end of the day, this is a game, so there is going to be some gamey things, and I think that's a good thing. And it's funny that you brought up looting animations. That was one thing. That was one big negative for me in Inquisition. because every time you loot something, you kneel down and you like rummage through, or you like open a chest or something like that. But there's animations for everything. And the thing that got me past that this time around was I downloaded a mod that
that's not fair.
it removes all the animations, so you just stand there to loot things, and it made the game so much more playable. Right. So I am totally with you with animations for looting. Yeah, some people might be like, "Oh, that's just like half a second," but I loot 3 million things of this playthrough, so that's 1.5 million seconds.
Yeah, that's a lot of minutes. That's a lot. That's the whole point of an open world kind of game like this, is you need to loot to get money, to get ammo, to get everything, and especially in the beginning of the game, you have nothing, so you're trying to collect all this stuff, and then you're opening up a cabinet, and it's like, oh my god, like, can we just move this along, please?
Can you imagine if there was a looting animation, Skyrim or Fallout?
No.
Oh my god. No. Like every time you went to do that, you gotta like kneel down.
Oh god, that would be terrible. You can't just have a pop-up window, please. Just move this. Let's go.
Game developers, it is okay for your game to be a game.
Yes.
It's not going to throw anybody for a loop whenever it looks real, and then it's like, oh, there's a looting window, and I'm standing here. Like, people will fill in the blanks. I promise. We've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah, right. Like, we can fill in the blanks, right?
Or at least have an option to turn them off.
Yeah, I don't know how they would manage that. That would be wonderful.
That's not my job. My thing is, it's like, if a mod could do it, right? I mean, it can't be that hard.
I don't know.
Jim did it in his basement. Like, Jim in his basement made a mod. Paid Jim $25 or $100 or something for, and just add it into your game. Anyway.
Please. Yeah, just have the option, like non-realistic option, whatever. I don't care.
Like arcade option. Like,
yeah, I just want to move along, man.
The arcade version doesn't have looting animations.
It'd be perfect. Yeah, but that's one of the things. So,
all right.
I mean, everything else is fine, but whatever. I'm sorry. Continue.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear from you finally. Remember, we're all about community here at the SwitchRPG podcast. So if you want to be on the show, you can email your questions using our email form at switchrpg.com/podcast. Or you can head over to our Discord server and post in our podcast channel there. Almost called it a thread. Our channel there, and that is discord.switchrpg.com. Anyway, we got one question this week from last week, but we're answering it this week. Paul Nichols, friend of the show, I believe we officially announced that he was in the SwitchRPG podcast Hall of Fame.
Yeah, certainly is.
So if you send in enough questions, you can be nominated in our Hall of Fame like Paul Nichols is.
He will get nothing other
than like, is there a specific criteria, like a number of questions that you have to send? No. But no. When you're the first at something, there doesn't have to be criteria. It's just like it's like the Vince Lombardi trophy. Now it's just like the Paul Nichols trophy.
Right.
It's just make it up. We just made him Hall of Fame status. He asked, do you prefer scaled or static leveling models in an RPG? Just to make sure, and thank you for your number one, your question, but the number two, your clarification here, because we know how definitions just run wild in RPG land. Just to make sure we're using the right terms, let me give a quick explanation and examples. Scaled increases the difficulty as you level, as in Skyrim, and static means that they are the level and the difficulty they are regardless of your level, as in Morrowind. which for all of you younger players was a game that actually came out before Skyrim. There was a game that Bethesda made before Skyrim, and one of those was Morrowind.
Morrowind, yes. They made a few, actually.
They did make a couple. A couple. So do you have a preference here? Do you prefer scaling or do you prefer static?
I'm gonna say static, and I have an example of this. I'll go to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where the enemies have all different levels and they're mixed. So there isn't like a zone where there are higher level enemies and the lower level enemies, or Noob Town versus End of Game Town. They are just mixed everywhere. So one big complaint I remember seeing when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out initially was, you know, the game opens up, the world opens up, and actually you see this in X as well. So the game opens up, and all of a sudden you're greeted with this giant primate looking thing that is level 80, and he's just roaming around and he just annihilates you. So I kind of like that when it's like a mixed static, if that makes sense. Again, I don't want like a Noob Town and the Game Town. I want it to be all blended together. Although I don't mind when everything scales to your level. I don't mind that. But I think having a mix is kind of interesting to me.
That's what I think I will also go static. Because I like the feeling of progression that you get when you are exploring and you kind of hit a wall because you realize the enemies are too strong for you, and so you can't go further till you go back, you level up, you get better gear, and then you go back and just kick their butt. And that you get that sort of reward, that feeling of accomplishment, or progression, because now I can take on this enemy. And then maybe as you're exploring more, you come to that sort of level jump again, and you need to reach that. So I kind of like that from a progression sense. I also, because I was thinking about this, and I was trying to decide what Breath of the Wild technically was, if it was scaled or if it was static, and I feel like it is a mix of both.
Well, it's not an RPG, so I mean, we could just throw it out the window here. But
because I think because let me set it up this way. My thing with scaling is, to me, I lose a little bit of that feeling of accomplishment, because especially in an open world games, this happens a lot, because if it's really me versus this open environment, I'm going around and I'm exploring this, right? Typically you're put in a hub to begin with in a city, and you're supposed to explore out from that. So to me, it almost takes away from the accomplishment when, as I level up, the enemies sort of around that starting area also strangely get a lot stronger too, because it was like, yeah, but I mean, I conquered this zone. Why am I always kind of now whenever I fight a goblin, he's still like at level 50, he's still giving me some challenge. So I know
what did that goblin do to earn a level up?
Honestly. Exactly. So I mean, I know from a gameplay perspective, it extends the life, because then you're not just rolling through trash. But I also think it kind of takes away from the progression, from the feeling of accomplishment. So going back to Breath of the Wild, what I was thinking, it does something interesting in that I think for various stages, it's static, because I think you have that starting plateau, which is sort of in the middle of the world map, and the further away you get from the starting point is where the harder and harder enemies are. Sort of around that middle, you got your easier enemies, and then in any direction that you go, the further away you get, the harder the enemies become. And then it does this interesting thing with, once you get, I can't remember if it's you complete a certain amount of shrines, or if it's you complete a certain amount of story things, the entire world levels up. So then that's where I guess the scaling comes in. But as far as I remember, it's still like the easier mobs are sort of in the starter areas, and then once again, the further you get out in any direction is the more quote unquote more difficult.
Yeah, and then the enemy types, they're different depending on their colors. So yeah, that's when you see that change. I think Fallout 4 does something similar to that, where you started in the middle, where the vault is, and then as the further away you get from that, the harder enemies are, the different levels they are. I'm trying to think. Dark Souls, I want to say that the enemies scale with as you get stronger. But I mean, the feeling you get when you defeat a boss, anyways, is like it's like total jubilation. It's like you've just conquered the world when you beat something. So, I think Dark Souls is a scaled RPG that does it really well. So,
and it's a tough call. It's a tough call because I know that the scaling allows you to do so much more, because in an open world, the game developers technically don't know what you're going to do first, especially like in a game like Skyrim, right? A game like Skyrim, you can once you sort of get out of that tutorial area, you can do anything you want. So there's no way for the game devs to know exactly what you're going to do, and so what areas need to be starting zones and things like that. So I get that scaling sort of has to happen in an open world game. It just, to me, it kind of loses a little bit of what sort of makes games in general fun to me, and that's that feeling of I'm getting better, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I that's the method I prefer. Anyways, so
it's a fascinating sort of question and philosophical question, though. All right, Geo.
Yes, sir.
Let's pack our bags.
Where are we going?
That's a good question, actually. Where are we going? We are doing a side quest, right?
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Let me ask you this, and then we'll decide if we want to do this now or we want to save it for next time. I'm going to ask you one. I actually had a thought of one.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
And let's see if you want to answer it right now. What is an admission, a confession, a gaming confession that you don't want to make, you would not want anyone to know, and whether that is like something that you thought for the longest time, or maybe something that you've never done in gaming that you like, it's like too late to do, like a game that you haven't played and it's just sort of embarrassing at this point. But what is a gaming related confession you wouldn't want people to know, but you're going to confess it live on the show?
Okay.
I have one if you want me to go first and allow you to think about it for a second.
I would love to hear your gaming confession. That way I can laugh a lot.
Now this one, it may not be major. Like most people might think, oh, this is nothing. But I was actually embarrassed when just a few weeks ago I discovered this.
Oh no.
You
look like you're struggling just to say this.
So you know the genre, the roguelite or the rogue, whatever,
Yeah.
And that style of game, what it's like dungeon crawling, and you go down, you get loot, you get better, and it's like that's the gameplay loot, right? You're like diving in dungeons and stuff. Okay, so this is like a two-parter. First of all, I thought that the only thing that there was roguelites, Lites. I did not know that there was also roguelike with Likes, because I did not know that the name comes from an actual game called Rogue, which began the genre. I did not know why it was called roguelites, and I was too afraid to ask anyone because I'm like, what is like rogue have to, I was like, are you sneaky? But I'm like, nah, it's more like a dungeon crawling thing. So there you go. I, number one, did not know why it was called roguelite. because I didn't realize that there was a rogue. And then number two, I did not know that roguelike was a thing. As in, this game is like
similar. Yep.
Rogue. I thought that they were all rogue lights, and it didn't make any sense.
Well, so you've researched this, you've come up with you understand it all now?
I do understand it now. It started with the realization that like was a thing, and I was like, oh wait, so it's like Rogue. And then I looked up Rogue, and I was like, hey, yes, this was sort of like the granddaddy of so it's like OG. A Metroidvania that has origins in Metroid. Yeah, so like
okay, all right. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're on board now. Okay, so you've had time to think of this. I will confess, as old as I am, I have never beaten Super Mario Brothers.
Neither have I.
Okay.
I don't feel bad about it though.
Okay. All right. I got another one. All right. Rock Band. Okay. When I play Rock Band, I grab the mic and I feel like I'm on stage. I absolutely love rocking the mic, and I sing like I'm Freddie Mercury, and I don't hold back. I piss the neighbors off. I mean, I bother the neighbors, and I get really into it. I really get into playing Rock Band.
That's great.
That I got nothing, man.
That's a good. I mean, that's a good one. I mean, I would not feel embarrassed with either of those, but I think both of those are good.
Yeah. No, I mean, when I do the Rock Band, I feel like it brings out my younger days when I was in
like
the band.
The spirit of young Geo comes over.
Oh man, yep, love it.
See monkeys too.
Yes, sing it, bud.
That's good. But we would like to hear from all of you guys. If you guys have any gaming related confessions, something that you kind of like don't want to tell anybody at this point, now we're giving you a reason to tell people. We gotta share the embarrassment. We gotta share the pain. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Oh, roguelike.
Yeah. It's a good thing you never had to review any, did you?
No. I mean, it's really not my genre anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know why, because like I knew nothing about it.
Oh, that's a good one. That's funny.
Oh man. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up episode 29 of the Switch RPG podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for sending your questions in. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can email us through that podcast, through that question form at switchrpg.com/podcast. Remember, you can listen to our show each and every Friday or watch us on YouTube. If you like us live, I guess I should tell you when we record. We record every Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern, U.S. Eastern. Eastern, U.S. Eastern. Wait
a minute.
8:30 p.m. Central Time for all of you people who live in my time zone. So if you want to catch us live, you can do that on YouTube. You can find us at youtube.com/SwitchRPG because we got a cool named handle now.
Nice. Yes.
And remember, if you're listening on a podcast app, you can go give us a rating and a review. We would love it on iTunes because iTunes is king of the world. So if you could give us a rating and review on there, that'd be great. It would help us in the ratings and ranks, and it'd help people find us and all that good stuff. If you like what you hear, you can always head over to patreon.com/switchrpg and throw us $1 or $2. If not, we totally understand. You just being part of the community and watching all of our stuff, listening to our stuff, liking our stuff, talking to us is all that matters. Remember, we love you guys. And until next week, I don't know. I don't have Inquisition anymore. So like, what is there?
What are you gonna do?
I've got my Switch back thanks to G.
Yes.
I would like to throw that out there. My wonderful co-host has allowed me to have my Switch back because he sent me a power cable.
Yes, not a problem. Also in the works. Now we did go over some video game award type of things. We at SwitchRPG are going to be doing somewhat of our own somewhat of our own deal. So look out for that as well.
We'll have to wear suits on that episode and actually do a game award.
You better wear a suit, because you know I am.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, last time you didn't tell me that we had to dress.
Yeah, well, I figured, it's our first guest. You should just know you gotta dress up, and you didn't. You failed.
Game awards, we'll both dress up. I'll burn up in this room with all the lights. Anyway, love you guys. See you next time.
All right, bye.